Hey guys, this is Anastasia Autumnfire, and this is day 3 of my 7-day countdown to Beltane. Tonight I will be working on a craft that really embraces the energies and the spirit of the Great Rite. So really working with and accepting sexual energies. Now, with Beltane, the god and the goddess are married and they consummate their marriage. And in celebrating Beltane, I've always kind of found or felt like the consummation of the marriage is even more of a, I don't want to say of a thing, but even more of a symbol of the god and the goddess joining as one. Physically, that's a thing. You kind of have the spiritual connection with the marriage or hand fasting or wedding, what have you. And then you have the consummation, and that's usually seen as a more physical joining of the two. But for me, obviously sex is physical. It's a thing. But it can be so much more when you are with someone that you trust completely and feel safe with and are like-minded with. I really truly believe that sexual acts can transcend the physical and go to the spiritual, and it is a sacred thing, and it is a thing to be celebrated and honored. A lot of mainstream religion, cultures, society, what have you, I feel like sex is kind of seen or portrayed as kind of a shameful act. We don't talk about it. It only happens between a man and a woman when they are married to procreate. Or, for instance, when I was a Christian and went to church like a good little girl, I was constantly told that it's about deepening your connection with your husband, and it was done in honor of him. Now, I'm not saying that's true of all Christian sex. I'm certainly not going to ever put that out there. I've said quite frequently, whatever spiritual path works for you, go for it. That's where you should be then. But I can speak from my past experience. Sex has been something that has been an issue for me. It has been a source of great shame. It has been a source of great pain. It has been a source of great confusion in my life. And it wasn't until, I would say, recently I started to really accept certain things of myself and really started to embrace certain aspects of myself that were more sexual, that were more sensual, that dealt more with sexuality. And when I say that sex is a sacred act and should be honored and celebrated, I am only speaking of positive and consensual sex. Obviously, I do not mean anything that is non-consensual or forced upon anyone, rape, molestation, any sort of manipulation that deals with sex as a weapon or is meant to victimize someone else. I assume I'm like most people. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I can get. That's not what I can't even get my head around that. On a personal level, I have had experiences in my past which have, I don't think you even need to have experiences with those things in the past for them to be abhorrent to you. But please know that that's so not what I mean. When I'm speaking about sexual acts being sacred and honored and are nothing to be ashamed of or seen in a negative sense, in my opinion, I by no means mean rape and other hurtful, abusive things. But when it is consensual, when it is, with someone that you know and care about, and I think At a very basic level, if we work just with the physical, I'm having sex, hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's pleasurable and enjoyable, and it's good to go, and you're a happy camper by the time you're done. But when you actually meet someone that you're alike, someone that is similar to you, someone that can express themselves to you, and you can express yourself to them, and you feel open with them, and you can put your inhibitions to the side, and you can just be you. You can be naked in front of them and not worry, oh my gosh, where are your eyes on my body? Are you seeing all these rolls and this and that and the other thing? And you can just be free, and you can just be comfortable, and you can just be happy. And especially if both of you have like minds when it comes to spirituality, I think when you join in sex, you can reach a spiritual connection through that. We connect in a way during sexual relations that we can never connect more completely. I mean, there are two people that are quite literally one person at that point, or you have joined quite completely to each other. You are at your most vulnerable. You are completely stripped bare in every sense of the phrase. And even if you don't practice sexual rituals, I, for one, I do not. But even without practicing them or working with them, I should say, you still feel energy being built while you're in the act. You can feel a connection between you and the other person when it is someone that you are comfortable with and safe with, and perhaps even love. You can build that energy. I think there's a reason why when you're done with sex, you are quite often, you have no energy whatsoever. You are completely wiped out because you have put so much into it. And it's not just physical labor, it can be a spiritual connection as well. I also do think that sex can be an energy transference. I believe that one person after sex can be completely and utterly wiped out and can barely keep their eyes open, and the other person that was involved is completely amped and energized and ready to go, run a marathon, so to speak. It just, there is something there. There's something to it. And speaking as a person who has experienced kind of that moment, I think it's a shame when we look at sex and feel ashamed of it, or feel restrained from it, or we feel like it is a taboo that we can't touch or we can't be a part of. I mean, we have to be safe. We have to be smart. We have to know who we're with. We have to know what they're about. Medically, it's still a concern. We have to know what's going on. But if we are smart, if we are safe, and we are with someone that we can trust completely, and especially if you happen to be like-minded spiritually on some level, but your minds are open to the possibilities of a connection that can be made during sex that isn't just physical, but that perhaps can transcend into the spiritual plane, I think that is such an amazing concept and an amazing, I would imagine, an amazing experience. And I would think that would be a connection that would be extremely hard to put asunder. And to further it, you can create the ultimate manifestation, I think, while having sex. You can create life. You have this insane magic and ability to create something quite literally out of nothing, because two people have come together in this way. And I think that is something to be honored. I think that is something to hold sacred. And it certainly is not anything for us to feel shame about or judgment about, if that makes sense. So with Beltane, it brings up these feelings for me. It makes me think of this more and more because it is celebrated. It is part of what's going on in nature. You go outside and it's green, and there's trees sprouting leaves, and flowers are finally coming up, and it's absolutely everywhere. The last full moon we had was the seed moon. I mean, the fertility is abundant at this point, and sex is a huge part of it, and I really wanted to do honor to that, especially if you look at it from the point of view of the god and the goddess. I think the thing that most strikes me about the unifying of the god and the goddess are these are two beings that, at least in mythos, they are kind of all powerful. They can do so much stuff. They are insanely powerful in and of their own rights. They don't need anything else to complete them. And yet they want that balance. I think there's something to a partnership when it is not needed, but in fact it is wanted. I don't need to have someone in my life, but if I find someone that makes me want to have them in my life, that feels like more of a connection for some reason. Need feels almost like a child needs a mother. I don't want to be a mother to, my partner. I would want to be someone they choose to be with, not that they would need to be with. And from that want, from that desire, you're able to find the balance within each other. You find things that maybe are missing from the other person, but the other one completes, and therefore you balance each other out. And this all culminates in the Great Rite. So I wanted, after that long ramble session, I wanted to do honor to this Beltane by creating a what I'm calling a Great Rite blend. It's basically an herbal blend with spices, flowers, and herbs, and oils that I will use in incense, candles, and tonight I thought I would share with you some bath salts that I'm going to be making with it. Why bath salts? Well, if you are someone who does practice sex rituals, obviously bath salts would be a great ritual bath. Bath salts like this would be a great ritual bath piece to have, because you can kind of get your intent focused, get your mind going, get things aligned and ready for what you're about to undertake. If you're someone who just likes to feel sexy and confident before going out on a date night or something, this would be great. For me, I am actually crafting these bath salts for myself, which is kind of an odd thing. I usually don't craft for me. But these I am. And it isn't so much for me to go out on a date night. I don't practice sex rituals, so it's not about ritual baths. For me, it actually has nothing to do with anyone else. I wanted to make these for myself. There are a lot of times I go to work and I beat myself up, or I get beaten up by the day. Not even at work, just everyday life. You know, you have a rough day, you tell yourself horrible, awful things about yourself. You're fat, you're unattractive, you're this, you're that. And you get home and you're just exhausted from all this negative thinking. And it becomes an actual negative feeling. You actually feel all of these things that you've been telling yourself. And I do this quite often. So I really wanted to make something that I could use and build that confidence, build that empowerment. And for me, when I feel sexy is when I feel confident. When I can look at myself in the mirror and go, yeah, I'm good. Or, holy cow, that's me. You know, those are the times I feel, amazing. And certainly there are other times I feel amazing. There's, a spiritual enlightenment, which is awesome, or having a really good day with the family, that's great. But on days when you feel like you are physically the ugliest or fattest or what have you person in the world, you want to feel sexy. You want to feel good about yourself. And for me, it is about empowerment. That's what it comes down to. If I feel sexy, I feel empowered. And it kind of takes a different, it's a different energy than just simply self-love. And not that self-love is simple by any means, but I do have bath salts for self-love, and self-acceptance and self-healing, things like that. But this is just when I need to feel confident. I need to feel assured of myself. I need to just look in my mirror and say, fuck it. I'm hot. This is who I am. I'm good with this. If someone doesn't like it, F them. Sorry about the language. But that's kind of where I'm coming at with this. And by no means am I saying someone's self-worth should be based off of sexual attraction or any such crap, because no, that's not me. But I hope that makes sense in some weird way. That just after a day of being beaten up, I think we all need to kind of pick ourselves up and take charge. And that's the kind of energy I want in these salts. So, without further ado and further rambling, let's start with the bath salts. So I've got my little bowl here. And here I have my salt blend. In here I have Himalayan pink salts. I have my regular white sea salt. And I also have some lavender Epsom salts. I chose this blend because Himalayan pink salt I like for, it feels like rose quartz in salt form. It's that abundant love, gentle, feminine, kind of that self-love or self-healing even energy. Then the white sea salt, I like that for purification. I like that for protection. Basically, after you have a day where you tell yourself you're Jabba the Hutt all day, you need to cleanse your mind. You need to cleanse your body. You need to cleanse all of that negativity. And then you need to protect yourself, because once you feel good about yourself, it is so quick, at least in my life, it's so quick to go down that spiral again. So I like adding a little extra protection. And then the lavender Epsom salts, relaxation, some peace. It helps to alleviate tension, all that kind of fun stuff. So we have that blend in there. Then I have some baking soda. Baking soda, of course, helps soften the water a bit, make things a little easier on your skin. It kind of gives this almost the feeling of like baby powder on your skin. It just is so luxurious and so yummy. And a lot of times when we feel sexy, it's when we're being pampered. So for me, that is a pretty new addition to me making bath salts. I used to just do salts and herbs, and now I've added that baking soda. So there's that. And then here is a bit of that Great Rite blend. Now in that blend I have ginger, I have red rose, I have cardamom, I have hibiscus. I added jasmine, and jasmine is not traditionally kind of the seductive or lustful or even a stereotypical love flower. It for me connects to that spiritual love. It connects you to divinity. And for me, if I am making an incense or a candle that will help kind of set the mood for a great night of making love, then I want that spiritual connection to be there as well. Because for me, sex, when you're talking about sex, it's the mundane. It's the, hey, you are attractive, I am attracted to you, let's go do this thing. And you get off, and that's that. But when you are making love, that is when you feel that spiritual connection. Even if you don't necessarily transcend to a spiritual plane, you feel a connection to that person. That's when you have your relationship. That's when it is something that is more than the stereotypical, more than just sex. So I wanted that spiritual connection to be in there as well. And also jasmine is one of those, it's one of those flowers, it's one of those scents that makes, at least for me personally, it makes me feel very exotic and ethereal, very goddess-like. I think that's probably the best thing. It really connects me to the moon, which connects me to mysticism, which connects me to that empowering goddess energy. Then I have coltsfoot. And coltsfoot deals a lot with love, a lot with peace and tranquility and happiness. Not so much, again, with the lust or the sex. But I added that because, again, for this project at least, or this craft at least, it is also about self-love and self-healing on some degree. So I wanted that aspect of love to be there. Then we have cinnamon. And then I used 2 oils. I used a musk oil and a poppy or an opium oil. So that is what is in here. And I'm going to use 3 little hand pinches. And actually I barely have anything left in here, so we're just going to put the whole pot. Say 3 and it ends up being 4. And then kind of just mix that in together. And if while I do this I kind of go, oh, I need, like, already I feel like I need a bit more salt, there's no harm in adding more as you go. Maybe a bit more. That too, I think I put too many herbs, so I'm gonna have to bulk up this batch a bit and put it in a mason jar. I was planning on just making enough to put into 1 sachet and show you guys that, but I think this will end up going in an actual jar because I've now made an entire batch. But yeah, so that kind of looks crazy on camera. But it smells really good. It has a nice energy to it. I am going to add a bit more salts to that. But otherwise, you're good to go there. Next, you just want to grab a sachet bag. I cannot find my white sachet bags, and they were out of pink at the store when I went. So I'm just going to put a few little pinches. Yeah, that should be good. And there you go. You have your own, and actually I don't think I need more salt. I feel like that's pretty good actually. Second guessing. So there we have it. The nice thing about using these kind of sachet bags are you can kind of just hook this onto the faucet and let the water stream through. You can toss it into the bath if you tie it off. It works any way you want. So yeah, that is my Great Rite bath salt blend to help connect to your inner sex goddess and empower yourself. Not even for anyone else's benefit, strictly for you to feel that seductive spark that we all have, and know that we are beautiful, and know that we are sexy, and know that we connect to something that is far greater than a lot of people know we have, if that makes sense. It helps us connect to a deeper part of ourselves, and I just think I'm rambling. I'm going to leave it there. This is the bath salt blend, and I will stop yammering now. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I really hope I didn't offend anyone with talking with very little filter. I hope everything I said made sense. If you have any questions or what have you, feel free to leave them in comments below or send me a shout out. Otherwise, I hope everyone has a great night. Blessed be.